What's up? Welcome to your Self-Helpless snack, where we give you a little taste of the Self-Helpless podcast with a mini episode. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, you can find the full episode linked in this episode's description. How long had they been divorced prior to you finding that out?
So about 3 years.
So they had been divorced for 3 years and you had
Yeah.
no idea. Were your parents still living under the same roof, even though they were divorced for 3 years?
Yeah. So my parents got divorced, I believe, April 2008. Yeah. And then
Wow.
even after the divorce, we still lived in the same. I mean, I was in college, but I came home every weekend. But my parents still lived in the same house. Like my mom didn't move out of the house until 2013. 6 years being with your divorced parents in the same roof. It's like real fun.
Was there a reason they stayed in under the same roof, and how did that work?
My dad and my mom, even though the marriage was not working out, they both very heavily believe in a nuclear family system.
Mm.
And, so even though I kind of found out in college, like, I guess my parents just sort of believed that I would be a little bit more emotionally mature to handle it. I think that it kind of what comes with being an immigrant, it's like you're our like family first over everything. Regardless of what's broken, it's just like family first. My mom, like my mom was like pretty much a housewife for a lot of her life. She had jobs here and there, but it was going to take her some time to kind of like get back on her feet. And my dad, it was never going to be one of those things where one or the other was going to like kick the other one out of the house, like that just was not a thing. So I think my parents, they both kind of waited until like I was at an older age. He was like, Nishima, like, I trust me. Like, I know it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders right now, but like, give it 5 years. You're not even going to care that me and your mom are divorced. And he was right. Now I look back and I'm like, oh, wow, you actually gave me like the biggest blessing of my life.
Mm.
Now I'm like, I'm like, I actually weirdly, I'm like, I am one of like the lucky ones as like an Indian kid whose parents like made the right choice and like completely shifted the way that I want to live my life.
Is there a stigma, whether in Indian culture or maybe with your religious beliefs, whatever they might be, is there a stigma of talking about what you're going through, your feelings, maybe issues you're having at home with other people?
Yes, it's like embarrassing.
Mm.
When my like in high school, I mean, none of my friends knew what was happening in my house. If you ask anyone I went to high school with, and it's like, oh, like, how would you like describe Nishima's reputation? And it's all just the same, like, oh my gosh, like this super like bubbly, happy, social butterfly, friends with everyone, like that is who I was in high school. And my friends had no idea that I would literally come to school and put on a show for 8 hours and literally just go home and cry every single day. And it's like I couldn't talk to other Indian kids because no other Indian kid was kind of going through what I was going through. And I already felt like I couldn't relate to other Indian kids. So now that I'm coming from a divorced family, it's like now I definitely don't relate to any of you guys. And
Mm.
so like my childhood friends were really my backbone to help me get through it. I mean, really a lot of the reason why I was able to get through it were because of those childhood friends.
Watching your parents go through this, has this shaped your view on marriage or relationships in general, whether it's for yourself or just as a whole?
Yeah, no, it definitely has. Now like, both of my parents are remarried now.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, they're both remarried. And I finally see what a marriage is supposed to be, you know?
Mm.
They want, and my stepmom, she also has a daughter, like my stepsister. And they want to set those examples for us because, it's like I've learned this lesson very recently that when you grow up in a family of chaos and just destruction and no stability, you just become accustomed to that. So it's like,
Mhm.
so it's like my parents wanted me to recognize, they want me to see what stability is,
Yeah.
and what it means to be in a healthy marriage, in a
Yeah.
healthy partnership. And, and back then it's like I was holding on to this whole like, picture perfect world of us because I was like, that's my mom and my dad. But now it's like, that's my mom and my dad, but those are also human beings, you know?
How old were your parents when they met, and how long were they together before they got married?
My parents literally met the day of their wedding. I actually just asked my mom this question: why didn't you say anything about not wanting to marry dad before the wedding? And she was like, well, I couldn't. She was like, I was 18 years old. And
Wow.
and at that time, like in India, and I don't know if it's that way now. I don't think it's this way anymore. I mean, maybe in like some of the more super conservative parts, but she was like, if we had denied the wedding, essentially my mom's name would have been tarnished and nobody would have wanted to marry my mom.
So going into an arranged marriage, just no choice to even say, no, let's wait. And then maybe next year we'll do an arranged marriage. There was no option of any kind for your mom.
No option of any kind.
Did your dad have a choice? Would he have had a choice to call off the wedding or not get married? Or was he in a similar position?
I think him and my mom were sort of in the same position.
Okay.
I think my dad's parents were they wanted to see my dad married. And so my dad was like, okay, like if you guys found a girl and you approve of the family, cool, let's do it.
Did they ever develop romantic type of feelings, being that's not how their relationship started?
I think from my dad's side it was romantic. I think from my mom's side it was more of like I have your back. Like you have my back, I have your back. But it was no romance. And so and so that's where for me it was like really hard because I never really knew that I was also deserving of romance, I didn't think that that's what I was supposed to like. I just didn't think not that I didn't deserve it, but that I didn't need it. I just thought I didn't need it,
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This whole experience, I mean, it taught me to be very open-minded. And it taught me the importance of just vulnerability. And like, I'm just so glad that it didn't harden me.
Thank you for tuning in to Self-Helpless. You can find our brand new merch, Patreon community, and other fun goodies at selfhelplesspodcast.com. We'd be thrilled if you left an Apple Podcast review, shared this episode with a friend, or post about it on Instagram and tag us at Self-Helpless Podcast so we could repost you and say hi. As an independently produced show, we sincerely appreciate your support. Thanks, everybody.